And welcome to how I play my level 100 Bard. So there might be another video on my channel about how I play my level 120 Bard, and I gotta say this is the most up-to-date one. Today we're going to talk about spells, and we're going to talk about some multi-bind action and abilities that we got going on down here. Well, we're going to talk about gear and kind of where to focus and whatnot there. So, first up, we have Aria of the Valkyr. This is our current level spell damage increase over haste spell. It also increases our chance of the group to flurry. So this will increase the damage of the spells of the group members by 41%. And over haste to 25%. So what does that mean? That means you can hit the haste cap of 210 without any issue. There, along with 41% extra spell damage. That'll decay on spells over 100 at 90 or 101. We will get an upgrade to this, whatever that aria is. Next up, we have Chorus of Solara. This is our current level mana regeneration song, health mana, I guess. And this will this is a point blank AoE, so it'll do everybody. So if you are going through an area and there's like people like fighting, and this hits them, you will get aggro from their mobs. So keep that in mind. War March of the Protan. This is our current level haste song. So this does 60% haste, 227 strength, 134 attack, 96 point damage shield, and I guess it adds damage to attacks also. So definitely a song worth having at all times. Mostly one like the haste, like it's not really a big deal. You know, in my group with the shaman aura gives haste also. So the haste isn't important, but the 134 attack is very nice. The 96 point damage shield is great for the Shadow Knight that I use, as he gets a benefit from having damage shields. Next up, I have 4 chants here. Let's get them all pulled out. They're all about the same amount of damage. I like to do chants because it gives me a way to do damage without having to be in melee, because sometimes I'm too lazy to melee. And when we get to my melody, I'll show how I do this. I intertwine a chant with every other song, so there's always a chant going out, no matter when the engagement is. Usually these chants last 18 seconds, and they do about 1600 damage, right? 16, 22, 21, 18, and 17. So it's a decent amount of damage. They also have a buff to whatever their debuff, their magic is, right? So the fire debuffs fire and the poison debuffs poison, right? So it's pretty beneficial. If I had to pick one, I'd probably only do fire just to get more synergy, but I'd do them all. Why not? And then I have Arcane Hymn, which is a it gives the group a proc. It gives us, like, here, let me go ahead and cast it, right? You can see here we're going to get some charges up here, 4 charges. Now, every time you cast a spell, anybody in the group will get extra damage, right? So let me grab my wizard, and we'll kind of show this, right? Oh, they're not in a group here. Let me invite her. So, all right, so he gets the buff now. Now, if I come over here and I cast on him, let's go to spell damage here. Ethereal Frost. So he does his 36,000 damage, and then he gets an extra 7,600 just from that proc. And he has 4 charges of that. So that's how that works. So that adds damage to everybody in the group that casts spells. So that is pretty nice. I believe it goes off procs too. Like, it's crazy. It's pretty nice. Then I have Wave of Quietude. Now, I don't use this at all. I've since stopped trying to do any kind of mesmerization, crowd control, or anything in any of my characters. I feel like it's just easier to tank everything and deal with it that way than try to take one character out of the combat, to focus solely on trying to keep something locked down. In my experiences from 1 to 125, probably like 10 times at this point on all the different characters, I think I don't even need it anymore. I've realized that crowd control is useless outside of very specific circumstances. So in the Bard, I don't do it anymore. I do have it still up just because it is, an option that can might have to happen, right? Like, it's just in case. Later on, I'm going to replace it with something else when we get to 125. Then I have Silence of the Forsaken. Now, this is for lulling mobs. Now, this only affects up to level 100, so it's kind of useless in all honesty. It's like we're level 100 and we can't do anything that would be higher. So anything that we'd be fighting current level would be outside of the range for that, because everything in your current level and beyond is always going to be yellow. So like when we hit 110, everything in Eastern Waste in TOV is yellow. Everything in the Burning Lands is gonna be probably close to yellow. So, it's just how it is. But it's kind of useless right now, and same with the crowd control. I just tank everything. I'm doing House of Thule, which is a level 90 expansion, so I'm kind of overgeared, over leveled for that, and I just face tank it. Now, later on, it might be beneficial, but right now it's not at all. But I still keep it there because I'm just gonna have it there all the way to 125. And then I have Gareth's Insult next, which is just our current level insult spell. So direct damage does 3,400 damage and does not move the target. There's a second insult line that does move the mob, and I don't like using that one at all. And then in the last spot I switched this between two different spells. This one, Kafka's Song of Suffering, and Crescendo, the mana regen one. Now, this will give everybody in the group a chance to proc there it is, 3 charges on melee attacks. Now, melee attacks is interesting because I do run a mage and I run a beast lord and a shadow knight. So all those guys are meleeing. I'm meleeing. So here, let's go with whack a mob and see how much damage this does. Come on. There we go. Okay, so there we go. 60,000 damage critical off that, right? And my melee procs, which I don't even know what is causing that to go off. I'm getting arcane hymn strike damage too, which is 29,000 damage. So this is a lot of damage, adds up. Especially like on pets and stuff that are going to be proccing that through, the Shaman pet, the Shadow Knight pet, Beast Lord pet, the Mage pet, and if depending on when this lands, the Wizard pet should pick it up if it's out at that time. Now, alternatively, I would use Motlak's Lively Crescendo. I don't know. I feel like this drains my mana a little too much, and so I'm just gonna go with Suffering for now, just to get that little extra damage. Now, these two spells, Arcane Hymn and Song of Suffering, right? These are extra damage where I don't have to do anything with the Bard, right? I just have the melody out, and I can just do stuff, and I don't have to like target anything. I don't have to do anything, right? So it kind of makes it a little easier to play in some cases when the mobs are dying so fast that I don't really want to have to move this character than just have the mob die in seconds. Now, when we get into harder content like Empires of Kunark, which we're going to start early December, that content will be, I'll have enough time to move the Bard and the Beast Lord into melee so they can actually do some damage. But right now, just not enough time. But that is all the songs I typically use. I don't switch it out from anything other than what I've said. and normal everyday stuff. Now, I do run the aura of Valkyr, which let's go and pop that in real quick, since apparently it wore off. This is the same as the aria of the Valkyr, but this is kind of always on. And when I'll show my melody here real quick. Here's my melody. So my melody obviously is very long, and it's very complicated. And let's kind of walk through it, right? So it's insult, aria, chant of flame, chorus, chant of poison, or march. Let's see here, what are we at here? That's 3. 6 is chant of frost, and then 8 arcane hymn, 7 chant of disease, and then back to 1 aria, flame, blah blah blah, all the way back to 11, and then we go through that again, and then we do Song of Suffering at the end. Now there could be some optimization there and get that going, but it's just kind of like, you know, how I have it right now. Song of Suffering does not use any mana. Now the insult does, so 11, so I could definitely switch out some of these, but problem is with that, let's see here, later on at 105 we're going to get Troubadour Synergy. Now this is going to cause all of our insults to trigger a damage boost. So this will trigger a chance for 1 melee attack or 1 spell to do 36,000 damage at 105. So that is, so we got to be used to casting insults. Now that'll drain our mana pretty good. So that means, the bard has to rest and stuff like that. Now focusing on in your gear wise, like mana regen worn, so like mana regen like that, see, like 3 mana regen. So stuff like that is something that is very needed, especially also endurance regeneration. Now you don't find a lot of endurance regen on a lot of gear, and I'm surprised there's actually 1 endurance regen on any of this gear right here. But you're gonna want to find as much endurance regeneration and mana regeneration as possible to be able to run this the way I do. Now, another thing, like that's the spells, right? So let's go into the how I play normally, right? My first button here is Celos. So this is our run speed. It's a 5-minute duration buff. Celos are Accelerato. This is, I think you have to buy this one in Licinium, or the next one you have to buy in Licinium. One of those you do. It makes this run pretty fast. It's nice to have. I do that on all the time. One of the 99% of the reason why I prefer a bard over an enchanter is just so I can run faster. I know druids and shaman also get the spell, but it only lasts for 2 minutes, and it's just not the same. My assist button is pretty standard. X target 19. All my characters have the same extended target based on who's in the group, right? It's in group order from the way I see them on my screen, right? Like I have this main screen and then my side screen. These are all in the order how they're layered over there. Now, X target 19 is always whoever the main assist is target, right? So to assist, I turn my attack on, I send my pet in, I do pet swarm. Bards get swarm pets through some different, here's like Song of Stone here, 3 gargoyles. So we can send those pets and we can change their targets. We can also charm. I think early on in this series I was doing some bard charming and sending the pet on to stuff, and it worked out pretty well, but it's just not efficient in any possible way. Charming is not worth any effort beyond, I would say, level 60 on TLPs only. It's just not worth it. And there's that. My burn button is still pretty light right now. I haven't really updated it much. Spire the Minstrel's Vainglorious Shout, or Vainglorious. Dance of Blades, 1,000 Blades, and the breastplate. The current breastplate It's only a level 95 breastplate, so it's not that great. See here. Looks like it gives us an absorb for 60,000, so it's kind of useless. I think later on it gets a little better, but that's what it is. Now, fading memories. This is our evade. I can't. I've been playing my 125 Bard, and I gotta say I've been using it a lot to do some fun things, and we'll talk about that later in another video. But then here's my melody. It's 11 1 4 2 5 3 6 8 7 1 4 2 5 3 6 8 7 11 1 4 2 5 3 6 8 7 12. That is my current melody. I suspect I'll change it up a little bit as we get closer to 125 based on some changes I've made on my 125 Bard already. So there will be some changes there as we get closer there. But for my multibind, so if you don't know, in Everquest, in the client, you can change how hotbars are buttoned. You can bind everything to one button. As you can see here, I have everything bound on this hotbar to the 5 button. I push 5, any one of these abilities will activate at the exact same time. So keep that in mind. So we have Boastful Bellow. Now this is a direct damage spell. It takes endurance. It does 15,000 damage and a chance to do, what is that, 110,000 damage after that. Bladed Song will cause the attacker, so I'll put it on the dummy, right, or whatever the target is. Every time it hits, it will take 317 damage. It's like a reverse damage shield. Cacophony, however you want to say it, is another direct damage spell. Does what, 3250 plus 4,000 over time for a minute. So you get what is that, 10 ticks of 4,000, and then 50% chance to interrupt the spell casting for a minute. So it's a pretty nice spell or ability to keep going at all times. Song of Stone. This is a swarm pet. So this will summon 3 level 83 gargoyles. Obviously doesn't get upgraded until 101 or get level 99 gargoyles. So it's, you know, it's kind of weak right now, but eventually it'll get a little bit better. Fierce Eye, which is a group ADPS buff, gives everybody 20% melee damage, critical damage 20%, 300% chance to proc weapons, and 10% extra crit chance for 1 minute. It's a 4-minute reuse, 1 minute duration, and I use it on cooldown. Quick time, kind of same thing. Everybody in the area gets a 1080 attack power, 79% accuracy, and the weapon delay by 13%. So it's pretty nice there. I believe it eventually does spell casting, if I remember right, but it's pretty nice. I use it on cooldown, 10-minute reuse, 2-minute duration. Funeral Dirge. So this is our, what does this do? Increases the damage your target takes from melee by 22% for 1 minute, and when it fades, it does 35,000 damage. Now this is pretty interesting because the Shadow Knight has like a ability that makes them take more damage also, so you can kind of stack some of these things and get some serious damage on the mob. So it's really nice. I use it on cooldown, 9-minute reuse, 1 minute duration. I think later on in the game I'm going to change how I do some of these, but right now I think I just using them on cooldown is probably my best option. Then we have Reflexive Retort, which allows us to slash and restore mana to the group. It's a 10-minute reuse, 0 duration, right? So it's a single slash that restores mana. Pretty nice, if you ask me. And then tracking. I have tracking in my multibind, so this window is always up. Every time I hit 5, I get this window, right? And that allows me, when I'm looking at my second monitor, I can see this, and I just look for red. I don't need to know names. I don't need to know anything. I just look for red. typically that means that there's a named up, and then I can switch over, see what it is, and figure it out from there. That's the best way I've found to do it, and this works for me all the way to 125. On my other character, I just look, I see red, I know there's a named up, and then I go hunting. And I try to get all the names I can, obviously for the hunter achievements and for getting loot. So that's just how that works. Now, these are all just old buttons for different things I was trying out, so they're not even worth it looking at. This is my old, this is not even a valid one, but what is 3? Yeah, this isn't even a valid for this character, for my other bard. Let's see here. I think that's all of that. These were all for switching to different instruments, but as we got into certain levels, the gear starts having the effect modifiers of instruments, right? So the gloves have percussion, the boots have singing. I think the breastplate has something, maybe? No. Legs? No. Oh yeah, legs has wind. So yeah. So each one of these is what it is. I don't believe group gear ever goes above 26. Now raid gear I believe does go up above that. So if you can get a hold of raid gear, you're gonna be in a better situation as a bard. Specifically, I would say the gloves would be like the top one that I would want personally, because chants are all percussion, and brass would be good too for the insults. What is brass? Brass is the helmet, so if you could pick up the gloves and the helmet, you would be really well off as a bard. But it just depends on what's available to you, and like what kind of server you're on. I'm throwing Fi. Or Fivriona Vive, or whatever you want to say, where I can, I can buy raid gear for, fairly decent price and not have to actually do anything because I don't have time to raid. But definitely on other servers where things are not free trade, you might have to join a guild and do raids to get the top tier stuff. So keep that in mind. Speaking of gear, so I know I get asked what are the ornaments on my weapons. There's the Azure Scale Rod Longsword ornamentation, which is from the Outer Brood pre-order. You get like 3 of them or something like that. And yeah, so that's what that are. The weapons are, like, most of my gear is stuff from Marks of Valor tokens in Call the Forsaken expansion, right? Like, I don't think this character's got updated stuff. Yeah, he's got like the Boreal breastplate of the Reformer, which I believe is from the Call the Forsaken, or the one right before it, Reign of Fear expansion. Now, it's not the best. I plan on upgrading to Conflagrant armor at 106. So I just really haven't cared. It, like, no one takes damage. We're fighting in House of Thule, and my Shadow Knight can solo every single thing in it. So it's just more or less everybody is along for the ride at this point. But it is what it is. I also have tower gear on the non-visibles. So you can see here, it's pretty good gear. In fact, I believe it is the best you can get for like most levels outside of raid gear. Depending on the level, right? Because these are like every 10 levels on a 5 level. So like 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, 105, and so on and so on. So all the way up to 125. Now, getting this gear at, a certain level, it's not going to be that great compared to what you could get depending on the expansion. So, take a look at it and see. I know at 125, all my 125 characters have all the tower gear and all the tower augs as equipped. So it's better than the crafted tier 3 gear in most cases for what I've looked at and what I've compared. So something to think about there. But it's pretty decent, easy to obtain gear. You just have to do the mission. I mean, I've got like 230 tokens on this character and I have all this stuff, right? You can, you know, do them pretty much back to back, and they take like 2 seconds per to do, so it's pretty fast. You spend more time zoning than anything else, so it's definitely worth getting while you can. I believe this will definitely go away in January 2025. Hopefully they bring it back in like anniversary time every year, but who knows what their plans are with that. Let's see here. Aug-wise, so we're getting to the point. We're not quite there yet because this character doesn't have any Type 5 slots on any of her gear. But we're gonna, you know, there's one right there. So the tower gear has Type 5s. Now, until you get to the broken mirror, there are no Type 5s that will drop. There's no Type 5s you can buy with currency until the broken mirror. Upon hitting that broken mirror, you know, expansion point, anything beyond that, you will be able to get Type 5s. Now, the Bard, I go 100% heroic dexterity. Now, if there's an, like, if it's like heroic dexterity and then there's something else I got to pick from, it's going to be stamina. Stamina is going to be my secondary. Heroic dexterity is my primary. Ideally, you want to get to as close to 4,000 heroic dexterity as you can. But that's quite hard. I have all the Type 5 Augs on my 125 Bard, and she is only at like 32 or 3,500 plus. So you want to get that as much as you can. Heroic dexterity improves all of our melee stuff and allows us to, I think, proc more and all that stuff. So it's just all around better hits, better everything. It's the best one from what I understand. From reading all kinds of things from people that do all the math behind all the stuff on the forums. So that's that. So that's gear wise. I do right now it's a life tab and a disease proc. I think I was talking to Blarp the other day, and he mentioned that the shamans get a buff. I think he said 110, maybe it's 100. That increases one-handed blunt damage, and he switched all his characters to using one-handed blunts, and it gives it like a 9-10% damage increase. Let me see if I have it, or a version of it on my shaman here. It's like Feral Eyes or something like that. Let me see here. Yeah, this line right here. I haven't done it yet, but it will see. I don't think this is the one that actually does it. Aligns your targets form with the animals, making them susceptible to work things that, yeah. This line of spells is the one that will do it. I believe it's the 105 version. And what that'll do is increase the damage we can do with one-handed blunts. Now, one-handed blunts are not exactly the best, I would say, for a bard. Typically, it's a different set, but the thing is about the one-handed blunts is they typically have remote healing on them. So at 105, we'll, you know, take a look. I'll probably make the conflagrant everything for this character, and then we'll mess around with them and see which one is the best. But the concept is that I would be doing more damage with my one-handed blunt melee from that spell being cast on the mob, if I can find the energy to do that. And then we would also get remote healing, which would help heal the Shadow Knight in situations where we're pushing content, getting that extra healing on there and stuff like that. But right now I just use whatever these are. These are from, I want to say, the Marks of Valor guy, but these might be something that I had just had in my bag from other characters I had made. I think I'm on my 4th or 5th hero bard, so definitely, you know, you build up a stockpile of weapons after a while. Another thing to mention weapon-wise is you should have the Phosphorescent Rapier of Dim Light, mostly for the clicky. You click it, you get Shadow Amplification here, which will give you Shadow Amplification, which unlocks an AA called Harmonize. So you don't have to keep the buff on it after you click it, but you want to go to Focus, Special, right here, Harmonize. So this will increase our singing by 0.9%.
Definitely, definitely worth getting. You can buy this from the Marks of Valor vendor also. You can buy it and click it, and then you can sell it and get rid of it if you want. But I just keep it just because if I make another bard, I'm gonna hand it off to that bard. So it's something to keep in mind there. I think that's everything bard wise. I can't really think of anything else. It's a great class. When the Outer Brood is out, I am going to be doing some how I solo. So I'll do a level 125 how I solo just to kind of like show people way to solo at 125. My 125 bard is max AA, max experience, everything. Best group gear I can possibly get. So I've maxed out the character. I've played the character from 1 to 125. I don't even know how many times at this point on a bard. At least 4 or 5 times. I feel like this is my best setup yet for this character. There are some changes on the 125 character I've made, but this character at 100, this is probably the best I feel right now with this character. It's just phenomenal class. So definitely that. So if there's any questions or comments, please let me know, and I will do what I can to answer them. But that's it. Bard is fairly simple and very fun. But thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.